It's been a while since I've updated this weird journey. Tuesday, a couple of weeks ago, marked the fourth scan, which is the first year of this 2-year medical trial. Again, I'd like to stress that my light-hearted approach is my particular way to deal with things. I only mean to raise spirits, if only for a few minutes, to those dealing with the darkness that this cancer can bring. So, it's now actually a year, and it's been a year of discovery, both self and medical. When I began on this trial, I was told that the drug pembrolizumab, or a placebo, would be administered every 3 weeks. The protocol was set that Thursdays would be blood checks and Fridays, all being well, they would give me the treatment. The team had side effects in mind that could occur, but they couldn't say when, or if, or for how long. And my first 3 months I've told you of the side effects and the care given. So going forward, I began to question the validity of these videos. After all, it seemed like I was hardly suffering, so who was I to try to get others to try to smile through their personal ordeals? I wondered, when any difficulties began, would my own smile stop? It's all relative as to the difficulties. We can always say someone is worse off than ourselves, which is a good reminder that many come through the other end having endured far more. But our own struggles are our own struggles. After my initial hiccup with the treatment, life slowly got back into a fatigued routine. Not the real me at all, but an easily manageable one, if my mindset was right. Of course, COVID came and the whole world went topsy-turvy. My sanity was saved by my taekwondo. We did online classes and then eventually back into the hall with strict safety measures. Having sold my motorbike, I set my aim on solely keeping my students focused and healthy and using the rest of the time to let my body attend hospital and see out the trial. Around December, there began another change. I had my third COVID booster and my left shoulder developed a lack of motion and quite intense pain if I leant on it or anybody hugged me. Almost simultaneously, my right knee ballooned up to the point where it wouldn't bend and was so painful to put pressure on. I spoke to the oncology team, who thought this was nothing to do with my trial, and so see my GP. Ah yes, the medical ping-pong games begin. My GP sees no reason, as I've no obvious injuries, for either of these pains to have developed. It must be an adverse reaction to your trial drugs, they bat back. However, after a couple of weeks, they do decide to send me off for physio on the shoulder. Now, being used to following a training regime, it was easy enough for me to incorporate the exercises into my daily routine. Painfully and slowly at first, and then still painfully and slowly. I mean, when would a change occur? But the thing is, these moments don't make me feel self-sorry. On the contrary, I do think of those not so lucky that fight much worse. For some reason, I'm always sure I will defeat this. And it's this certainty, right or wrong, that gives me purpose. I now produce my own style of Quasimodo Taekwondo. I would limp around the hall, dragging my right leg behind me, and if demonstrating a two-armed motion, would show the right arm facing front, and then turn round and show the left arm's action with the right arm facing backwards. Now, no amount of anti-inflammatory drugs helped, and I would wince walking up and down stairs, kneeling slightly, and as I've said, at family gatherings when people would forget and give me a hearty, well-intentioned hug. It did become difficult going into Taekwondo. Energy levels were being used by tensing the body all day against sudden movements, and then I got asked to have a fourth booster for COVID. The suggestion came that I should have it in the right arm due to the condition of the impinged left. Now, I thought the opposite. I couldn't afford to spend the next few weeks as a lame orangutan with both arms dangling uselessly by my side, wondering if I would ever climb a tree or play with my favourite tire on a rope again. Now, around this time, I was due for another bout of my trial drug. I was told my thyroid was underactive, and that could be causing my fatigue. So they put me on an additional dose of medicine, levothyroxine. Well, within 5 days, I was suddenly spending large parts of the day with the world exploding from my bottom. I was called in for tests which showed inconclusive for whether it was an effect of the pembrolizumab or the levothyroxine medicine, and at this point I'm told I'm the only person on the trial to suffer side effects. Also, the side effects are all ones expected from that particular drug, but they still use the phrase that there is a strong indication that I'm on the drug. Yeah, I think we know I am. Well, it was Easter, so I made the decision to stop the thyroid medicine. The results of any tests would come after a long bank holiday weekend, and I just didn't feel I could take much more. The following week, the oncology team did further tests. They asked if I had noticed any change in my fatigue from the initial thyroid medication. And I told them if there was, it'd been knocked out by the fatigue from clearing my colon contents through urgent toilet runs for every hour for 19 days. A 6-hour day of prodding, bloods, waiting and stool samples. The outcome was to go back on the thyroid medication at an increased dosage. The bloods had shown it was still underperforming, which they wanted to get on top of. Alongside this was a course of steroids to counter the start reaction. Appointments with teams for cameras to go down my throat and up the other way were arranged. And all I could think of was, I hope if it's the same camera, they use it to go down the throat first. Then a time of immense clarity. I went home on Tuesday night, armed with the steroids, having been told I could start them straight away. It was an almost instant change. Wednesday I woke up with lessening pains in the limbs and other parts of my body that had been persistent for what seemed like way too long. I realised where else my body had taken up the struggle to support the actual injured parts. By Thursday, I was having a good day. I could walk down the stairs at an almost normal pace, and having had a good night's sleep, felt less fatigued than I had since my treatment began in May 2021. It was Dr. Jeckyll and Mr Hyde. Had we found the balance of drugs to stem Mr Hyde from resurfacing? It was also a very poignant revelation. It was clear that all my bad side effects were drug-related. The last 3 scans had shown decreases and stability in the cancer itself. If it took another year of the occasional fall from Dr. Jeckyll but the cancer was managed, or that hope we all have that they find the right treatment to say, it's gone, it would be worth the endurance. The NHS care is amazing, and with the steroids having calmed down most of the side effects, still went ahead with bottom cam. This was to be sure the immunotherapy hadn't caused colitis. I was booked in for 3:30 on the 17th of May, but the day before I'd get a call asking if I could come in at 9 AM, as a slot had opened due to cancellation. I did say to the receptionist that probably wasn't the best choice of words. Positively though, I've now completed the first year and the 4th scan is still showing stability. No changes, and that's a good thing. I'm going to leave you with this for now. I'll share the latest of my Uber cabbie driver funnities. You'll have to forgive me doing a poor assimilation of an accent for this part, but without it the story loses much of why it got me laughing. I've said that many a time. The cabbie will ask if I'm working at the hospital, and then we go through a patient and being a patient and what it's for, and it's another great way to get people to know about prostate cancer and how to get checked. Well, on this morning, my cabbie already knew, as he told me, yes, my uncle, he has cancer of the prostate. I said, what? Yes, prostate cancer. I said, I think you mean prostate, mate. That's something totally different. That's called the clap. He laughed as well and recognised the language mistake. But again, just a little smile to set off the day never hurts.